Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be trying to diagnose and figure out what is wrong with the Grand Prix, and hopefully we can finally get this thing started by the end of this video. So what I forgot I had was I have a scan tool, but before I put the scan tool on it, I have a voltmeter which I brought, and I'm going to check to see how much voltage the batteries have. So if the batteries do have enough voltage, because they should, because it cranks the engine perfectly fine. So if the batteries have enough voltage and the ECM is just reading low voltage, then it's just a ground issue. But if it's just a battery issue, then it's probably a VATS issue, which I thought usually the VATS system, it let the car crank and start up for a second, but then it would die after like, a second or two. Let's see what she's reading. 11.34. So 11.34 should technically crank and it shouldn't have any issues. It's showing 9 volts on the display. Let's go over here to this battery that I use in the Pathfinder. I had both of these connected. Let's see what she reads now. So this battery, I couldn't do it with one hand. It has 12.2 volts. So both of those connected shouldn't have, it shouldn't have been showing such low voltage on the display. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hook that battery back, that Odyssey back up, and I'm going to put the scan tool on there, and then I'm going to look for loose grounds. I already checked all the grounds. I pretty much put them in centralized locations. So for the injectors and everything, I have this ground right here. Then I have the grounds down there, and then I have this big ground going from here to the strut tower. So I shouldn't have a ground issue. So let's plug the scan tool in and then continue to look for grounds. Maybe I'm just overlooking one or something. The battery plugged back in, and we'll go like this. It looks like it has low voltage or something. I wonder if there's a power wire that I don't know where it connects or something like that. So we'll cycle through all these faults, something with traction control, and all this BS. And it's not showing me miles. That's weird. Yeah, 7.74 volts. And I just measured it. Let's check it again. And actually, let's plug in the, it's doing weird stuff. Let's plug in the scan tool. Ooh. That still doesn't start, but it looks like it actually has power now, which is good. Let's see, go through these. Come on, go through it. Don't care. 11 volts now. So the ABS pump is showing the left front wheel speed sensor circuit malfunction, which I don't have it plugged in right now because I haven't soldered the plug back on it, but I really don't think that would cause it not to start. Looking at the starter and remembering that this wire right here goes factory from the alternator to the starter, and there's a fusible link in it. So I think what's giving me my issue is that fusible link inside this wire, or at the end of this wire. So how I have this system ran is I have it going from the starter to the alternator, and then from the alternator to the battery, which cleans up the wiring a lot. So what I'm going to do is actually remake these wires right here. I'll have it go from here to the starter, and then also branch off from here to the alternator. And I'm going to use a lot thicker wire, something about that size. So I brought some thicker wire. I'm going to use this from the pretty much that junction block right there to the starter, and then I'm going to use this wire right here for pretty much branch it from here to the alternator, and then it'll be really centralized. Then I won't have to worry about the fusible link, and I also won't have to worry about any of the wiring. This is technically, it's probably fine for starting the car, but I think that fusible link is just really messing up the situation. Just finished redoing the starter / alternator wire, and I think this will work a lot better. So this is 1/0 going from this junction to the starter, and then I branched it from this junction to the alternator instead of this going to the alternator and then it going from the alternator, and I think this will work a lot better. So what I'm going to try to do is jump to starter right now. Put the battery up, and we're gonna try to crank her by bypassing the starter relay. So I have this wrench, I have some pins in there. Sounds great. Crank's good. Hopefully now we can put the relay back in there. Make sure I put it in the right way, hopefully. I think it goes this way, so the writing is to the top. Let's try a cranker with the key. Come on, baby. Still nothing. What is going on here? Security light isn't on. I don't understand what is up with this thing. It's getting spark with the key on and me manually cranking or jumping the relay. I'm wondering if this relay possibly could be bad. So I'm gonna probably try to find another one of these. But I'm gonna do my hefty trick that everybody so much loves. I'm gonna spray some starting fluid in it and give her a crank, and we could hear her finally start up at least. Woo! Woo! Oh, man. She's gonna sound good. I've been messing with the Grand Prix for quite a while more, and I had Chris come over to try to help me with, he has the HP tuners on his laptop, but we're still not having any luck. So what I ended up doing was I traced down the wire that goes to that fuse box on the passenger side, and it is this yellow, where's it at? This yellow black. So I wasn't sure if this circuit was working. So what I ended up doing was this yellow black, the ECM grounds this wire and it engages the relay for the starter, starts a car, or turns the starter, starts a car. But for some reason, the circuit is good, but the ECM is not letting, not telling it to start. So the key, we saw on HP tuners that it is sending this
crank start signal or whatever.
Sending the signal, and you can hear the relay over on the passenger fuse panel on that driver or the passenger door side or whatever. It engages, and then all the other relays in that box engage, just not the starter.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't know. I don't understand it. But these cars are notorious for weird wiring issues, and also at first I thought it was a passkey 3 issue, but then the security light turns off, and then HP Tuners also shows that it's getting the key code. So it's not a passkey 3 issue. It's not a wiring issue, which I originally thought I could turn the key on, spray brake cleaner, and it'll start. The fuel's bad. I added some gas, so it won't stay running. But I guess Chris was saying that when he was in here, it's throwing all kinds of lights on because it was mad because I was jumping it. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if it's something to do with the upgrade
swap.
Yeah, the trans swap and not.
Yeah, because neutral safety stuff will do things like that, and reverse lockouts.
But it also shows the correct gear on the display that it's in. So I think we should just put a standalone harness in here, call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, if you buy the license for this, we could also turn off the trans pretty much, where it shouldn't need the trans signal.
Like manual almost?
Yeah, like you can turn it on different PRNDL statuses, they're called.
Yeah, let's try that. I'll plug all this stuff that I kind of took apart back together, and we'll do that.
If you buy the license, we can disable VATs anyway, even though we know it's not that.
Yeah, because who's going to steal this?
Right.
And I could just put a safety in the Tesla stuff so it just always engages the park unless I...
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about that with the Tesla rear drive unit. I have the parking brake. I can set it so instead of using a line lock, I could just hold parking brake, and then I could do a burnout.
With the parking brake on?
Yeah, on the rear.
Oh, for your front wheel drive.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You could do that.
And then I wouldn't have to run a line lock.
No.
Yeah.
The X has the electric brake on the back?
I think it does.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'd be easy.
I could even put the air shocks all the way on this thing.
You're gonna have dual line locks?
Yeah.
Just switch them between?
Yeah. All right, so let's get this stuff all hooked back up because now it looks like a nightmare under here again. This is writing the ECU. So what I ended up doing is buying some credits so we could pretty much delete everything off of the ECM. And Chris did that last night while he's at home doing nothing.
Just helping Dave.
You know, just playing
every moment I'm awake.
Playing drums.
Yep.
So hopefully this solves our cranking issue, or not cranking issue, because you deleted the
starter
DOD
fault checks, the DOD, the VATs just in case, even though that should be fine.
So hopefully we're good. Finally wrote the program on the ECM, and now Chris is going to try to start her. Don't forget to hit the brake, Chris, or do you have to?
I don't know. I'll hit the brake just for you, Dave.
Nothing? Nothing. What is this thing's issue? And the fuel gauge doesn't work anymore. I don't understand it.
Here's it. Oh, it's working.
Yeah, it's almost full. Doesn't make sense. Has to be body control.
I don't know.
What is what does that say? Anything? Can you look it up now?
Look up what?
The status. Didn't you say if we unlock the ECU, you could see the status?
Well, like the crank status?
Well, we could see that yesterday.
Yeah.
We know the key is sending a signal. Chris took apart the underhood fuse box, and I wanted to test all these relays, which I pretty much got all of them to work, but this one doesn't seem to work. And I looked it up, and I guess they use this one for a headlight or a high beam, so I'm not sure if that's what it's actually being used for, because you can't really find much information on the fuse box wiring or circuit board diagram or anything like that. So what me and Chris are going to try to do is find something similar to this out in the yard, plug it in, and hopefully this is the starting issue, because at this point I'm at the point where I'm just going to delete all this stuff and put a standalone ECU in it.
Yeah.
And a standalone fuse box
right now.
And then you know,
these aren't even exposed.
Yeah, and these aren't exposed. You have to take everything
apart.
apart.
Distribution block apart to just get to those.
You know, it's a pain.
Yeah, took two of us to do it.
Yeah, so if I can't figure this out, we'll just standalone ECU it. It'll run perfectly. I have to tune it anyway. Let's go try to find one. Right, so I thought I was going to be able to get the Grand Prix running, but there is just a weird issue going on with this thing. When me and Chris were trying to diagnose this thing, it seems like every time you try to start it, and I actually put a needle into the ECM and put a voltmeter on the positive side and then the other side of the voltmeter to that pin, and literally all it did was it would go, when you try to start it, it would go to 0 volts, so it wasn't grounding, and then when you turn the key off, it would be full voltage, like it was grounding opposite. So I'm not exactly sure what is going on with the ECM. It could be the ECM is bad, but at this point I don't want to have to, since I already unlocked the ECM with HP tuners, it was like $100, and now I'm just in this point where I don't want to do it, but I'm probably gonna just buy a standalone ECU, wire it in, and it'll fire right up. So it's not what I want to do, but I think that is the best course and plan of attack, because it's just, I've been working on this thing for about a week now, trying to diagnose this problem and get this thing running and driving so I could take it to the drag strip, and we just, you know, just continue having issues, and it's just weird issues, and it just continues on, and I can't get it running, which it usually is the simplest thing. When you do an engine swap or transmission swap, it just, you know, you put the engine in, you connect everything, and the one thing you're worried about is if it's going to have a rod knock or it's going to be out of time, not if it's, you know, the key is not going to send the signal to the starter to start the car. So I can jump the starter and it starts for a second, but when you do that, it doesn't actually trigger the injectors. Like the security is stopping it, but we deleted the VATs, we deleted the DOD, a bunch of other stuff was deleted for, you know, since I did purchase the HP tuners credits and everything. So unfortunately, we didn't get the Grand Prix running. She's so close. I really want to drive this thing just because I want to see how fast it is with the LS and the larger transmission, and I guess we'll get the standalone wired in here. Once it comes in the mail, it'll probably be a week or so out, and just kind of start messing with some other stuff. I have the Hellcat subframe over there finally done. I'll be doing a video this week on that, but you know, it's just kind of disappointing. I'm disappointed. I'm sure you guys are disappointed, but we'll get this thing sorted out and get it running. But until then, next time, see you guys.